What's up?
We're back.
Are back with episode number 261. Right on.
Yep.
And we are a power trio today. Yeah, Kevin had to work, which he's retired, mostly retired, but every once in a while they call him in for help. So he goes in to make a couple extra bucks. So I guess that's what happened
Don't
today.
I know that feeling? I got another call today, and I'm just like, dude, that's what you could deal with, Anyway.
Right on. How you doing, Steve? Been a couple weeks. You've been missing.
Yeah, I've been doing pretty good, man. Playing the in-law game. Got family here for a month. They leave next Tuesday, so I won't be here next Tuesday, but had to make an appearance.
Right on.
Okay.
Well, lots of new stuff coming out. I finally got my Sacrifice in the mail, volume 6, and it came with this nifty little scarf.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Oh, wow, that's kind of fun.
That's only half of the scarf, but it's pretty nice. And then I also picked up the new Suicide Angels.
Yeah, I've heard that's great.
It's
really good.
That is the album of the year last year.
Now,
so I need to check that out.
If you guys are in front of your computers, I'm going to tell you now. It's on right now. You can get it on vinyl on Amazon for well under $20. It was like $16.95 last I looked.
On vinyl?
On vinyl. So grab it before it disappears. Anybody who cares. And then this one took forever too. Finally got the new Hyrax on vinyl.
I saw Kevin had posted that on his Facebook page that it finally arrived.
It is definitely fast. I think it's a return to more of their earlier sound. The recording is better than that. Of course, it was actually recorded by and mixed by what's his name, Max Norman, who has done just about every band under the sun. So the recording quality is really well done. But like their early albums, the songs are short, fast, punchy, kind of a mix of thrash and punk, kind of that crossover sound. Doesn't quite have the same metal vibe that some of the Glenn Rogers albums did. And the songs are short. I mean, this whole album, so you got 5, 6, 7, 8 songs, 9 songs, and the whole thing clocks in about 21 minutes long.
Wow. So it's like another Bombs of Death, except with 5 more songs.
So you got Drill into the Brain, which is 1 minute 4 seconds, Armageddon, which is 3 minutes, Drowning Bodies, which is just under 3 minutes, Faster Than Death, which is 1 minute and 34 seconds, Psychotic Ward, which is 1 minute and 33 seconds, Relentless, which is 2 minutes and 24 seconds, Reverent, which is 3:46, Warlord's Command, which is 2:36, and World's End, which is 3:12. So just about 20 minutes long. But if you enjoy that early Hyrax sound, you're going to enjoy this. It's really well done, really well recorded. It's getting a lot of good press right now, and people are giving it high ranking. I don't care about albums being long or short. I mean that's kind of an EP though, really. But with 9 songs, I guess it's considered a full length, right?
Well, I mean, some of the early Van Halen stuff was under 30 minutes, and Slayer, Rain and Blood, of course, which is the pinnacle of speedy thrash metal. That's 27 whole minutes.
Yep. I think Diver Down was about 27 minutes too.
Yeah.
But anyhow, lots of good, a lot of good stuff.
We're going to get to see him. In fact, that's what triggered this topic is we're going to see a bunch of bands this weekend, and one of them is Hyrax. We look forward to that. But
what's the name of the new record?
The new record for Hyrax,
is
Faster Than Death. So I bought it. I pre-ordered it back from the record company back when it first was announced. So came with a 11 by 17 or 12 by 18. I can't remember what it is, poster. So that was the incentive, I guess, for pre-ordering it. But other than that, I don't think if you buy it now, it's going to be any different. But we got lots of people here. There's Fraser Dawson. What's going on, Fraser? I'm waiting the waiting game again. Yes, you had to wait 2 extra minutes. We are sorry.
Yeah, big whoop. You're going to have to wait a lot longer when you're standing in line for Hell's Heroes.
Yeah, lots of cool people here. So glad everybody's here. We are talking festivals today, but right now we're just talking. So You got anything you wanted to say or show or any show and tell there, Steve?
No, I'm trying to buy the album real quick before the price goes. It's $18 now, so usually as they sell, the price goes up with each one they sell.
When the demand goes up, so does the price.
Yeah, I've seen it happen where they'll list something for like $15, and then you buy it and check it a minute later, it's $17, and then somebody else will buy it. It's $19. It's funny how they do that. They get that to suck you in.
Well,
so,
yeah, speaking of albums, I listened to the Opeth this week, and I'm not sold on it.
I thought it was mediocre.
I thought Sorceress was a real disappointment after Pale Communion, and then they released the one in Swedish and one in English, but I can't remember the name of that one.
I know what you're talking about. I have that, and it's still sealed. I haven't even opened it.
Well, the Swedish version sounds much better than the other for some strange reason. I don't know why. Maybe there's more melody in Swedish singing.
Sorceress too. I didn't like Sorceress when I first heard it. But after like 3 or 4 listens, it's actually one of my favorite Opeth albums now.
Huh. I'll have to readdress it.
I took a break from it. I took like 6 months and then went back to it. And once I got past the fact that there's only one metal riff in the whole album and got into the fact that it's a prog record, I loved it. You know, my problem with this record, I don't know. I think they meander a lot on this one. I think they added the death metal vocals back in just to please people, and it doesn't really fit the way they want it to. I don't know how people are listing it as they're the best album of the year last year. It wouldn't have made my top 30.
Yeah, well, to your point on Sorceress, the digital or the Digipack Deluxe version or whatever has an extra CD, and those songs are actually better than what's on the album. But I'll have to readdress it because I really like Opeth. The shop where I'm kind of doing a couple of hours here and there, they got a copy of Damnation. And the Steven Wilson remaster.
I have that the 2 LP version.
Yes.
Yeah, I bought that it's like a $200 2 LP set now.
Yeah. Well, it really threw me back because I love Blackwater Park and then Damnation, I think. Or is it Damnation or Domination? Damnation.
It's both of them together. It should be.
Yeah. But anyway,
or Damnation,
that was back when they were still doing the death metal growly thing, but there's a lot more of that melodic idea in there than I thought before. But
if you go back and so I did this too because I didn't remember all the prog elements being in their early records, and if you go back and listen to them with different ears, they were introduced in prog by the third album.
Yeah, by the time they did, what is it, Orchid?
Yeah.
That was real proggy. But anyway, someone asked about the new Warbringer. I haven't really been.
Warbringer's one of those bands. I really like Warbringer. I've seen them live. I never buy their records. I've got 2 of their records that I never listen to. If I run across them in the shop, I'll grab them, but I don't go out of my way to buy them for some reason. I don't know what it is.
They really killed it with on their 4th album where they almost went black metal. And it just sounded too it was too abrupt. I like their first 2 a lot. I don't know about the new one.
I think that was the first 2 where it's straight up
thrash.
Cali thrash, yeah.
Yeah. And I saw them and they were touring like mad dogs, and then all of a sudden
like that Fraser's calling me a poser.
Yeah, look who's talking, man. That dude. Anyway, takes one to know one, I guess, Fraser.
Yeah, if you see the Warbringer stuff, especially those first couple records, I mean, it's straight up Cali thrash. It's really great.
Yeah, I haven't ordered a new one yet. I'm kind of like, I've seen them play several times. Actually, we opened for them at one point. My band did at a club here in Albuquerque. So they're nice guys. I like their music too, but I'm actually got tickets to go see them in concert in a few weeks. So I'll go see them again, but I still haven't picked up the new one yet.
Cool. Well,
they're not from. They're from the U.S., right? I'm almost positive they are.
Yeah, they're from L.A., I think.
Yeah, I thought they were a Cali band.
Yeah.
Yes. glad you got the Iron Jaw. That album is doing fantastic. I think it's going to
Ventura, California.
I think it's going to be one of the first or second, can't remember, one of the first albums on the No Like to Metal Records label to have to go into a second pressing, which is nice.
Well, that's good because you're not a museum. You're there to sell records, and that's a good one. I mean, you saw it live and in person, so.
Yep, they're great.
Hoping that's a poser because he wasn't there. I didn't see him at the Iron Jaw show.
Yeah, where were you, Fraser? I was looking for you. I wanted to meet you there at the Iron Jaw show. It was a fantastic show too.
Yeah, a lot of people. Speaking of fantastic shows, Gammaide played last Thursday, and they absolutely destroyed. And there were probably, I don't know, 200 people on a Thursday night.
That's pretty good.
And they had glowing barrels of toxic goo, and they had a big 20 by 20 banner with my artwork on it. Rick sent me a little snippet, and he said, "You ever seen your artwork this big?" And I no.
Actually, if you're asking the first album I showed, it would Sacrifice Volume 6.
Yeah, but anyway,
no, you know what? It was Suicide Angels. Sorry.
Yeah, Suicidal
Angels.
Suicidal Angels. Excuse me. I would say it wrong. I don't know.
I'm just saying that because I was looking up Suicide Angels. I was like, I can't find it on Amazon.
Sorry, I do it all the time.
But if anybody's anticipating seeing the mighty Gammaide, you will not be disappointed. They absolutely are in the rarest, coolest, most blistering form they can be in right now. And
are they writing?
And rumor has it, let's just hope they can get through these. They're doing an actual. They're doing another show at some point. I can't remember, but. Anyway, we'll see. I would love it for them to do that. I know Scott's trying to get he's still doing some stuff with Rotting Corpse, and he's trying to get Beast of War, which is the spinoff from the War Beast era. He's trying to get that off the ground too, but I think he'd be silly not to try and parlay this Gammaide momentum into something huge. But
another Texas band. Another Texas band. I'm hoping we'll get something out soon too. We'll see.
Yeah. But anyhow,
we'll see.
So speaking of fests, I got a couple of POWs.
Yeah, you do. Oh wait.
Oh yeah.
There you
go. We have to at some point.
High tech we are. Don't you know?
Yeah. Let's see. I seem a little. Let me change my lighting here. There we go. Get a little extra light.
Oh yeah.
Show a little light on the subject. Okay, so I got 2 picks of the week, and having.
Look at it. I forgot to show it. I got a new shirt too. Look at that.
Dude, that's pretty cool.
Patriarchs of Black has a new album coming out, and this is a shirt for the new album. And Dan sent me said this in the mail yesterday, so I thought I'd wear it for the show today. Well, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, the Queen had a birthday on the 10th, and of course she loves Typo Negative and knows all those guys, but she didn't even know about that project, so I turned her on to that, and she's all excited that Johnny Kelly's still doing something. But anyway, so having Kevin around has really sparked my my prog side of me, and I've been doing some on 128. They've actually given me a second slot, and I'm doing Carcass John's Alter Ego, and so I'm doing prog and shoegaze and prog metal, prog rock. In fact, this week's episode is, or one of the episodes was what my parents thought was heavy metal, and it includes Deep Purple, Kiss, Ted Nugent, all the favorites. And but anyway, he's man, that dude has a deep catalog of just super rare prog stuff. So it caused me to dig deep in my stash. But so my rock pick of the week is this. It's Copperfield with a K. It's called Tales Untold, and this is kind of a man. It's almost like a jazzier Deep Purple Uriah Heep. It's reminiscent of Opeth. This is what kind of spurned me onto the Opeth pages, because I thought, man, that sounds like if Opeth were in the 70s, this would be it. You know, they got 6 members. They got all sorts of keyboards and guitar-driven stuff. But Copperfield, Tales Untold is a really, really good, if you can find it. This is like a second pressing, but find it. I can't. It's not very findable, but I think it just came out on CD. But well worth your hunt if you can track one down. And then my metal pick of the week. I've been spinning the heck out of this thing. Nazca.
Yep.
Night Strike. They played the record shop and did a song off of every album, and then did multiple songs off of this album. And man, I'm telling you right now, this is greatness. If you're into power metal at all, and it actually has a lot of speed to it too. Some of the songs are fast, but well written, extremely well recorded. And of course, the mastering, I got to give Hair Metal Rob his props, even though he's not here. This thing really sounds brilliant, and that's the frosting on the cake. But so that's my metal pick of the week is the new Aska Night Strike, and then Copperfield, if you can find it, Tales Untold.
Right on.
I got one I want to show real quick because I've been playing the crap out of this, and this is one that when people bring up the great live albums of all time, this one never gets brought up. But this is Quo Live from Status Quo.
That's a great one.
This is creeping into probably my 10 or 15 favorite live albums of all time. This thing is so good. I ran across this copy. The record store gave it to me free. It's an OG mint UK pressing or German pressing. Sorry, on Vertigo. He gave it to me free because it had the messed up cover. But man, this is a 12 out of 10. It's so good, and they don't get enough credit for how good they were in the mid 70s. There,
no, they were really, really good, and I'm surprised that not as many people know about them or who they were.
Well, you got to watch out when you look them up online because you might accidentally pull up their 60s stuff where they sound like a knockoff Beatles band, you know?
Yeah. But
by the mid-70s, they were killing it.
Everybody kind of sounded like the Beatles back then because they were trying to figure it all out. But everybody but maybe Deep Purple. But I don't know. Yeah, they're great. Status Quo is awesome. That's a good score right there. Anyhow. So, as mentioned,
I might be bringing on another guest in a second, so that's why I'm kind of
I'll just
I'm chatting with somebody who wants to join the show, which would be great. So
yeah, I'll just take.
But anyhow,
is
that it? We got anything else we need to show before we move on and get into our main topic?
Let's do it to it.
No, let's do it to it. Let's go.
Let's get into it then. So this is your topic, John, so why don't you go ahead and start and let everybody know what's going on.
So I started thinking about this week because the Queen and I are headed to Houston for Health Heroes. It's technically a 4-day fest. In fact, I think there's even a Sunday. Something's going on then too. But the 3 main days are out there. And so I just started thinking about, do they have, where are the good fests and have we been to them? And so I thought we'd pick out a couple of fests that we would love to attend at some point in time, and maybe several that we've been to and describe kind of what they were. And I'm really sad that Tony Clem's not here today. He's actually in Houston, not driving, so he's pretty happy about that because he drove in all the way from Ohio or Indiana or Indiana, I think, and. But he used to be the full terror assault guy, and they've disbanded that thing and they're not doing it anymore. So that's kind of a sad thing because we were planning to go next year if they were going to have one. But so I'll start off with if you want to just go around the room, if you can think of a fest that you've been to that you really enjoyed, and I'll start right at the top.
Yep, go ahead.
I went to Wacken.
Making lots of noise. I'm going to move on.
I went to Wacken in 2006. It's over in a cow pasture in Germany, just west of Hamburg. It's a very easy drive from Frankfurt or Dusseldorf kind of area. It's near the coast, and man, it is spectacular. You park south of town and you walk through the town, and all the townspeople sit out on their porch and wave at all the headbangers and heavy metal people, and it's really fun. But listen to this lineup, and it was culminated by one of the greatest Scorpions reunions I'd ever seen. But there was White Snake, Children of Bodom, 6 Feet Under, Danko Jones, Nevermore, In Extremo, Arch Enemy. Gosh, I can't really read this thing, but Fear Factory, Morbid Angel. I mean, it just goes on, and you can Google it and figure out the whole lineup. But the things that were impressive to me was how organized it was, how clean it was, and they actually give you like a trash bag, one for recycling and one for trash. They weigh the trash, and they give you money for picking up trash. And
Really?
I still have cups because you would buy the drink and you'd pay an extra euro for a Wacken cup. And then if you brought it back, they would wash it and then fill it up again. And then it would be $1 less or €1 less for your drink. But I had to collect all 8 or 9, whatever they were, however many there were cups. And so if you can imagine, the first day we're there, we saw... Or the first morning we were there, and everything starts at like 10 o'clock because there's a campground off to one side. They have a side tent stage. Hey, George.
What's up, guys? How are you?
Good. And so it's very chill. But like I said, music started at 10. I saw Aborted at 10 o'clock in the morning. Morbid Angel was next at 11, and then Arch Enemy came out and just absolutely slayed. But that same day, it was Motorhead, Hatebreed, Soulfly, Gamma Ray. Ministry played later in the evening. And then they had Michael Schenker was there, a Victory was there, an old classic German heavy metal band. Metal Inquisitor, Amon Amarth. I mean, it was insane. And you had all these little subgroups that were all sitting in their little packs or whatever, but it was very laid back, very organized, very loud, and it was great. But imagine this. Imagine if you could see almost every member that had ever played in the Scorpions go up on stage and play a song from their particular era. And so they went through their entire catalog, and they went all the way back to Lonesome Crow, and it was fantastic. It was so worth it. And we were on the AAA, the All Access Allowed with our Arch Enemy. Michael Ammett's a longtime friend. I've known him since the Carcass days, and he hooked us up. I mean, it was really, really awesome. And it is a little primitive when it comes to bathrooms and that type of thing, but everybody was extremely nice and cooperative. I don't know what it was. 2006 seems like a century ago, and it was a long time ago. Maybe people are different, and it seems like it's gotten so big that I'm not sure how you would ping pong back. But they have 2 huge main stages that just swap back and forth, and then they have a side stage, and then they have a tent stage. But
yeah, anyway, Brother Lee's talking about Wacken. He went back in 2001, 2004, 25K in attendance.
Yeah. It was far bigger than that in 2006. In fact, I was shocked because, and even one of the locals said, yeah, when this thing started, however many years ago, it was, it was 5,000 or 6,000 people out in a cow pasture, and there was one stage, and it has become this giant. It might be the biggest on the planet, but anyway, I would probably go back just for grins, but I would try to piggyback it with something else, like because they actually have a festival season in Europe, and you'll see people that have these canvas wristbands, and they just have a pile of them, and they just take their holiday time off and just hit all these fests every weekend. It's really
the
pretty
3
cool.
or 4 biggest in Europe are all within like a 2-month period. They happen like weekend after weekend.
There's Wacken, Summer Breeze, Keep It True, Hellfest. I mean, there's a bunch of
Tony Clem's here.
Hey,
he's in Houston.
Yeah, he is in Houston. Hey, Tony, you want to drive some more? Anyway, He's learning that Houston is not a friendly town to drive in either. It's just you might as well just stay at home and go sit by the pool. But anyway, so if you can get to Wacken, go all out on it. Get the the all access passes. They have a limited number, but they are available. And if you know somebody in a band, that's even better. But man, I saw Hatebreed, Soulfly, and Motorhead like back to back to back. It was mind blowing.
You said it was 2006.
2006.
Yeah, that was Hatebreed right at their peak. So I saw them in 2005, and they were fantastic.
Yeah, and but anyway, but you get to see all those. You get to see all the German and European bands that you never thought even still existed, and they were there. And then that's what they do. They just play the circuit. They go to their regular jobs, and then they practice up, and then they just start hitting fests. That's kind of how Tigers of Pantang did it. Raven's done it. But anyway, so that's my pinnacle of the ones that I've actually attended. And so I guess we just go around the room and you can discuss a fest that you went to that you really liked.
My favorite is actually probably the smallest that I went to, and it was the very first Ozfest. And when I say the very first Ozfest in Phoenix, the original Ozfest in '96, it was 2 shows. It was one in Phoenix, and then the next weekend it was in LA, and that was it. That there was no plan for a national tour. So I was there for the very first night, which was in Phoenix. It was a small lineup, but man, it was fantastic. So it was Neurosis was the opener. Fear Factory. This is right after Demanufacture came out, so they're just starting to get big. Sepultura, a month and a half before Max left the band. Biohazard, Danzig, Slayer, and then of course Ozzy. So only a few bands, but man, it's still one of my all-time favorite shows that I've been to, and being able to see again Sepultura, who's probably my favorite band of all time, right before the split up, is still defining for me. I've actually got on record that live show and the Fear Factory from that Ozfest. But man, it was such a great show. The only disappointment from that show was Danzig. So Black Acid Devil just came out, so he did like 3 songs off of that album, and other than those 3 songs, it was like a perfect set. And then Slayer, of course, Lombardo just left the band. And was it Bostaph that took his place?
Yeah.
I like Bostaph. I've always been a fan of his. He couldn't hit the fills though. Seasoned in the Abyss, I think, is one of the greatest metal songs of all time, and the fills and the drum rolls in that thing are so good, and he just couldn't hit them. It was still a great show, but and then Ozzy, man, this is kind of the end of Ozzy as a great showman. When I saw him a couple years later, he couldn't play half the songs anymore. He was barely moving on stage. In '96, he was still controlling the audience. It was a fantastic show. So that's probably my favorite. I've been to a lot of festivals, but with a lot more bands and bands that I like more. But I mean, that was just like one of those perfect festivals at the perfect moment,
Right on. Hey, George, what's going on? Thanks for coming on.
Not much. How's it? I appreciate it. I appreciate inviting me. So just figured, why not? I've only been to actually only one Ozfest. That's the only festival I went to. So, but that was in 2001. With Sabbath was the headliner. So it was, I saw them with because we came late. So I saw Slipknot and Marilyn Manson. So I'm not a fan of either one of them, but Marilyn Manson put out a pretty damn good show though. Sitting a lot of fans. So, and of course Sabbath was really good. He like you said, it was younger, so obviously he could still walk around the stage and not look like a little old man. But that was but it was 2001, so that's a long time ago now.
Yeah.
One thing when you were talking, John, about the all those festivals over there, it's a shame that they can't do that stuff here in America because it's just not the audience for it over here.
They do some pretty good big festivals here. They just a lot of them like Welcome to Rockville and Daytona is really good when they have the metal years, but they'll do a year where it's heavy on metal and they'll do a year that's heavy on alternatives. So but it's not like Hellfest or where it's straight up just killer metal for the whole
Well, one
show.
of the kids is going to the whatever that fest is in Kentucky. It's like a 4-day thing, and it's everything from Billie Eilish to Napalm Death. It's like a wide variety. In fact, Slayer's playing it, and we looked at one day if we could actually just pay for one day, we would consider maybe driving up there. But you have to buy a 4-day thing, and it's like $500 or $600, and it's just like not worth it.
That's something that's nice about Welcome to Rockville. So the first time I went to all 4 days, but last year all the metal was on the Thursday night. Judas Priest, all the big bands we wanted to see. So we just bought tickets for that day, drove up there, and it was perfect.
Right on. So who's at what year was the Ozfest you went to?
2001.
And who?
I believe it was 2001.
I seen a few Ozfests, and I saw Black Sabbath, and I think Judas Priest and Slayer were on that particular tour that I saw with that one. And yeah, they were. I mean, Priest tore it up. They were fantastic. They were just top, tip-top shape at the point.
I'm trying to think of when was that when Halford rejoined them.
Yes,
I thought that was 2000. I thought that was later because they.
I don't remember what year it was. I just remember going.
Priest did a one-off show with Slayer and Zakk Wylde at the Woodlands, which is just north of Houston, and I just remember being duly impressed because they were only having one Ozfest, and it was in San Antonio that year. Maybe 2004, 2005. I don't.
No, it had to be later than that because in 2005 they were still doing national. Because I went to the 2005. That was the one where they were doing free tickets. Do you remember that?
Oh yeah, I kind of do remember that one.
I went to that one, and we actually paid for upgraded seats because the free was in the stand-up area, but you could pay like $10 and get killer seats like 15 rows back. And we went to that one. That was where I saw Hatebreed and who was there? What's the that was Hatebreed was so good. Black Label Society was there. Lordy was there, which was kind of ridiculous. I know a lot of people. I thought they were super cheesy live. And then when I found out they were from Eurovision, I was like, oh, that makes perfect sense,
They're like Baby Guar.
Yeah, Ron Haggerty brought up Gigantor, which is I was going to talk a little bit about because I've been to. I don't know how many there were, but I think I've been to all of them as they came through town, which was obviously Megadeth's big festival.
And, I went to one of those in. It was a one-off, and it was like 2 shows that Overkill was actually playing, and that I'd have to ask.
I think Gigantor is why Lamb of God got so big because they were pretty heavily on that tour series, and they really blew up. Them and what's the other kind of similar band from that era?
Killswitch Engaged.
No, Chimera was also pretty heavily on those tours.
I grabbed the.
Oh, there you go, right there. Yeah,
the little sampler things that they were giving out at the shows.
Yeah, I've got a bunch of those. I've never been to any of the Gigantors because I was in Japan for all of them, but you probably gave me the samplers.
I want to say 2007, but Overkill played at Oklahoma City, and we had to rage to get up there. But in fact, Gene Hogan was sitting in on drums for Opeth. And I just remember how weird Michael.
Okay, so it was Opeth. So that was 2006. That's this one here because this is Megadeth, Lamb of God, Opeth, Overkill, Into Eternity, Sanctity, and the Smash Up.
Yep, there you go. Yep.
So I enjoyed the Gigantors. I thought Dream Theater was. I like Dream Theater, so don't get me wrong, but they were excessively boring, and people were leaving their seats and going to get drinks at the time because they were just. It was just like a big noodle fest. I swear their singer just walked off stage for half an hour at a time. But I also thought Opeth were kind of boring. But they kind of crammed Opeth between Lamb of God and Arch Enemy. It's like it was just it didn't fit. That's all.
Yeah, they were very flat, and I just think they were. I don't know.
Opeth.
Did you go to any of the Lollapaloozas back in the day? So I went to the one with. Here's another fun story from a festival. I went to the one with Metallica and Soundgarden. I had never seen Metallica. I had never seen Soundgarden. Wanted to see them both. Rancid was on there bouncing. It was mostly punk bands, but you had Metallica and Soundgarden were the headliners that night. And we got there. We saw the punk band Bouncing Souls. We saw. You remember the Shaolin Ninja guys would do shows. Did you ever see those guys? The Shaolin monks do. Anyway, the Shaolin monks did a demonstration on the main stage.
That's too cerebral for me.
And actually just killed it. Rancid was fantastic. And then my girlfriend from All the Dust got sick, like deathly sick, and we ended up having to get her to the hospital. And we left right before Soundgarden and Metallica hit the stage. I never got to see Soundgarden again. I never got to see them. I finally saw Metallica for the first time in like 2021. So, but that was like, I want to say that was 96 Lollapalooza.
How many bands does it take to on a show to be considered a fest?
I
don't know.
I don't know.
Like I said, that first Ozfest was what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7 bands. I mean, I've been to just shows with 5 or 6 bands, you know.
Yeah, so have I. So yeah, I don't. Really
guess
know,
if they say festival or fest in the name, but fests back in the day were one day. It wasn't like now where you got 2, 3, 4 day festivals.
Yeah,
back then, you know, Monsters of Rock was a festival, and that, you know, a lot of those only had like 5 bands.
I played Elements of Rock in Switzerland. That was a lot of fun, and it was a lot of people there. It was a single day fest, but there was a lot of bands playing all day long.
Was it Mayhem Fest that ended up in like 2008 and they did their last show? But it was typically it was Slipknot, Slayer. In fact, the main stage was Slipknot, Slayer, Motorhead, and Anthrax. And I was blown away. And then the side stage was bands like It Dies Today, Asking Alexandria. And I remember Turbid North got onto that package, and they just absolutely destroyed. People didn't know what to expect because they were on the side stage. And all I remember was people started to funnel in after when Anthrax was on the main stage. Yeah. And I said, why aren't you over there listening to Anthrax? And they said, I don't know, they're playing all this new stuff that we've never heard of. And but anyway, it was a very strange thing. But that used to be kind of a big thing for Slipknot. I just remembered that the Slipknot guys all arrived in their own bus. They had like 13 buses out there, and it was one for a clown, one for a Corey, one for the Joey Jordan or whomever. And I remember that they backtracked the whole thing. It was very disappointing. But I don't know, how much does it? I mean, the Milwaukee Metal Fest used to be a couple days, but it was only like 8 or 9 bands a day. And it was on a Friday and a Saturday. There was like 5 on Friday and then maybe 8 or 9 on Saturday. And then it was done. But that was a fest. Yep.
I played lots of fests that were multiple days when there weren't tons of bands playing. You know, they were like 5, 6, 7 bands a day. But hey, let's move on, because I know we were going to talk about this too. But Gary Ayrton said that his favorite was in the Poconos in Pennsylvania Jam. Saw Nugent, Blackfoot, Mahogany Rush, Henry Paul Band, Edgar Winter Group, and Falcon Eddie. So what kind of, I know you kind of said, what festival from the past do you wish you could have seen? For me, I would easily would say I'd love to have seen California Jam.
Oh, yeah.
Of course. Yep. I think if I could view it from an Eagles perspective, I would have loved to have seen Woodstock too. I'm not sure I would have wanted to be part of that whole craziness, but
what about the Monsters of Rock, that first Monsters of Rock in Russia?
Oh,
that was one where it wasn't something like 500,000 people or something,
or almost 1 million people out on that old airplane or that air.
When you see the video, that is a crazy. And that's another one where you don't actually want to be in that crowd, you know what I mean? But just to have been there for something that big.
Well, you want to be on the bus and follow the band up to the stage and watch it from the side stage.
Or Woodstock, to be with Hendrix and ride the helicopter in.
Sure.
Yeah, right. How about you, George?
Well, the one that had the Monsters of Rock here, the one with Metallica and Dokken. The one they had in Europe with Maiden and Kiss and David Lee Roth and Halloween and Guns N' Roses, that would have been better to see.
Yeah, I don't think that's the same here. Rock in Houston too. It was what Scorpions, the new Van Hagar, Scorpions, Dokken, Metallica, Kingdom Come. Yeah.
Yep. That was here, but then they had the one in Europe too, so which was a totally different bill. Which I think it was the same year, 88, I believe.
Yeah, I remember that being actually pretty good. I mean, other than Don Dokken throwing a fit and he threw his microphone across the stage and boo-hoo. And then Metallica, that was during Justice for All, I think. And I just remember seeing little red patches all over the stage, and I'm like, I wonder what that is. And someone said, "Oh yeah, everyone everyone's moshing, and there's just blood showering the front of the." They had this white covering on the stage. It was at Rice Stadium where they hosted Super Bowl number 5 or 6. But anyway, I remember that being pretty good. But it was
sorry,
I don't know.
Gary Arden said, "I saw Monsters of Rock in Miami. Scorps blew Van Halen off the stage."
I agree. I got to agree with him. I thought the same thing, and I guess I was too much of a David Lee Roth honk to really dig the new Van Hagar vibe. But anyway, oh yeah, I saw US Fest too in '83.
That would have been a good one to see. The metal day. That would have been what? Judas Priest and Quiet Riot, and who else was on there? Was it Van Halen?
Van Halen, Triumph, Motley Crue.
There you go, Crew. That's what I was missing. Yeah, and Crew were just they just released
even the other days of the more new wave or the pop bands. It was still killer.
Didn't Priest do one of the California jams?
Priest, no. Deep Purple did the first one, and it was Aerosmith and Nugent that did the second one.
Yeah, they did a festival in California too that I've got a video of. That's really fucking good.
Is that the Long Beach?
Well, didn't they play? Did they play Live Aid or one of those Aid concerts out there in California?
Don't remember. Oh.
I've got a bootleg of one of them festivals they did, and it sounds as good, if not better, as any of their live albums. So,
what year was that? The Reading Festival with all the new wave British heavy metal bands. With Def Leppard got throwing shit at them for whatever because they sold out to America. Or something, and also Tigers of Pantang were on that, and all Saxon, all those.
Well, it would have been 81 or 82 because by 83 it was pretty much dead.
Yeah, but that'd be cool to see.
That's an interesting comment from Kevin here. He says, "I saw the show at JFK Stadium in Philly. Metallica should not have been on before Dokken." Yeah, no. I can understand that.
What year was it? Oh, I mean, Metallica. We look at Metallica now different. I mean, even us thrash guys who loved Metallica in the late 80s, they weren't big. I mean, they were opening for Raven in 84, 85?
Yeah.
Yeah, they were. Yeah, they Ride the Lightning tour. They were touring with Armored Saint, and I think Metallica were the headliners. But when they went to California, Armored Saint were the headliners because they were so more popular there. So yeah, but yeah, I can understand though. I mean, even still, no matter how big they are, Metallica and Dokken, putting Dokken on after Metallica, it's just like the intensity is going to just drop.
It does. It makes sense. But I mean, Dokken was, they were in 84, 85. How big was Dokken, and Motley Crue and the other hair bands compared to Metallica?
Reading Fest, 1980. That's a good one.
Well, they were the mainstream at the time, so Metallica wasn't the mainstream. They were still underground at the time.
I mean, Metallica honestly wasn't the mainstream until the Black Album. I mean, true. Yeah, they made great strides with the one video, and that's when a lot of us learned about Metallica. I heard them before a little bit before that, but they weren't really the huge band that we think of until the Black Album.
Someone asked about the Christian metal festivals, and there is I believe it's in Ohio. They've had, I think this is like the 3rd or 4th year, and it's getting bigger every year.
They've got some great lineups too.
Yeah, Immortal Fest is July 25th through the 27th, and then again August 29th to the 31st. So those are, and then whatever they're calling. I mean, we used to play Cornerstone every year. Cornerstone was a huge festival, and that was like a week-long festival, and it was just tents of bands playing everywhere. I got to play that it's in Illinois. I got to play in Illinois twice, once with Vengeance and once with Ultimatum, and then I got to play in California once at that festival too with Ultimatum. That was crazy because there's no possible way you could have seen all the bands because there were so many stages everywhere. I remember one of the years I was walking around. It was, had to be 2000, 10, 11, something in that area. And I was walking around all these, just walking through and listening to all these bands playing in these tents. And metalcore was like the thing. Everybody was playing metalcore. And I swear, as I was walking through, every single band, every single tent had the same singer. He must have just been like jumping from stage to stage singing, because they all sounded the same. There was like no difference in them at all. But anyhow,
Speaking of which,
there was. Good. Sorry.
I was going to ask Steve about Prog Power in Atlanta. Did you ever get to see any of those?
I have tried to get tickets for the last 6 years straight. That's the hardest festival I've ever seen to get tickets to. So you have to get the tickets literally that they go on sale. They sell out within minutes, and they put the tickets on sale a year before the actual festival. So you don't even know what the lineup is when you buy the tickets. So, and there's been a few lineups where I haven't liked any of the bands that are playing the whole time, you know, and even the ones that I do like, it's usually only like 4 or 5 bands that I like, and they never seem to be playing on the same nights, you know.
Yeah,
it's a weird one. It's a weird one.
Gary Arton's talking about Sanctuary Stage in California, which is, like I said, I played that festival, and I played the Sanctuary Stage, so he obviously saw us there. But it was kind of fun because there was one giant main stage, and right before my Ultimatum went on stage, the main stage ended, and we were the last bands playing. So it was Ultimatum, and then Bloodgood was following it behind us, and Oz Fox from Stryper was also playing in Bloodgood.
What's cool about Immortal Fest, though, is it's kind of like Hellfest, where it's bringing a lot of bands back together that haven't done anything in 20 or 30 years that are coming back together for this festival. And we're seeing that with Hellfest now, where you got SA Slayer that are going to be there. Every year, there's like 3 or 4 bands that we haven't heard from in at least a decade or two to get back together just to do Hellfest.
Yeah.
Gammaide, or is Gammaide playing? Aren't they playing at Hellfest?
Yeah, well, and that's the thing. That's kind of what spurred this whole conversation, because they tried to get back together back in 07, 08, and they just sort of flamed out. So did Rotting Corpse. And then Steve Murphy, I'll give that guy a lot of credit. If you don't know Steve Murphy, he's the bass player for Rotting Corpse. He's in Nowhere Jets. He was in Eldritch Wright, all cool bands. But he's been dragging these guys to the finish line, and his effort kind of put together this whole Rotting Corpse demos on vinyl thing, and I think that he's spurned the idea that these guys can actually succeed, having, you know, as an old entity. So, and I don't know what Gammaside's making to play this show, but I know that it took a lot of money and logistics to get them there. I mean, just kind of like the Solitude Eternus last year. I promised you, I never thought those guys would ever play another show again. And I know John Perez personally, and he was skeptical, but they put it together, and they've been playing some shows. So
they brought Sodom. Sodom said that they weren't. They said years ago that they weren't going to do any more tours in the U.S. because they didn't make any money, and they got Sodom here for the first time. And
there's a rumor.
20 years.
Yeah, there's a rumor that they're touring at the end of the year, the States.
And Thursday, I'm going to see Coroner. The only reason Coroner is playing here for the first time since the 90s is because of Hellfest. They strung together like 10 shows. Every show has been selling out. They're doing a meet and greet for $30 with Deceased, you know. So I'm looking forward to that on Thursday.
Well, since
shirt, don't forget a shirt.
For which band did you want it?
Coroner.
Okay.
Yeah.
So let's since we're about 10 minutes from.
Well, hey, let me finish my story, because I didn't finish it. But anyhow, Ultimatum was playing on that stage, and then Gary Arton just said it. We did our show, but because the main stage had just let out and there was no more, when we played, that place was packed, and we had a fantastic show. We just hit it on. We were just hitting on all cylinders. But then Bloodgood came on next. And the drummer from Bloodgood took forever to set his drums up, and there was a curfew. They had to have because it was an outdoor festival. They had to be off. I can't remember what time it was, but they had to be off stage. The dude was like doing all kinds of, you know, testing his drums, and so Oz Fox gets up there, and he's just goofing around his guitar, and he's like, you know, this is like so unprofessional. And he starts playing Stryper songs on his guitar. And he's just playing the songs, and the crowd was singing along to the songs. It was freaking fun. Unfortunately, they took so long to set up. Bloodgood ended up only getting to play like 4 songs, and that was the end of it.
Maybe
But
that
hey,
was the plan all along.
I had another question real quick too, John, before we move on. I keep forgetting to ask. When you went to see Gammaide play, what was it, last week?
Last Thursday, yeah.
Did they have CDs for sale? Did you notice on their table?
They did.
Oh, good.
They had
Awesome.
CDs, vinyl, and they actually had a couple of the FOAD box set. Well, they say box sets, but they're like a triple gatefold that I helped put together.
Do you have
but
that?
those are rare birds. You need to, if you can't find one, or if you haven't seen one, or as soon as you see it, you need to grab it.
Do you have that Gammaide album, George? Sorry.
Nope, no, I don't.
Man.
It is one of the best thrash albums ever. It really is that good.
I believe it. There's lots of stuff I missed over the years. So
they were a Texas band, and they were on a small label, but they deserved to be on bigger label.
Yeah, they were on Wild Rags, which dude just kept cranking out. I mean, Wild Rags had tons of bands, including Annihilator from South Texas.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean they had, right? Yeah, from Corpus Christi, San Antonio. But dude, I'm telling you, I heard him almost a month ago over in Scott's garage, and I'm like, this is what real thrash is. I know I like heavy music. I mean, I also like Osric Tentacles, so that was for Rob's good. But I like heavy music, but I love thrash. I mean, that's what got me into heavier music. That was kind of the pivot point for all these other, crazy genres. But they are. Man, I can't wait to see them again, because Thursday night they had to tweak the sound a little bit. They had Kerry Crafton back there kind of working the board a little bit, and once he got them dialed in, then it was incredible. It was very reminiscent of the late 80s, early 90s, before grunge took over and cratered the whole music business. But anyway, I guess what I was going to just say, and I know we could go on. See, this is another one of those episodes where we could go on for several more. But I was just going to have, so let's go through the lineup of Hell's Heroes real quick. And if there's any bands that you would love to see, and I'm just going to do the lawn stage, because the inside stage, well, I'll just do both. So Thursday on the inside stage is Black Jackal, Chamber Mage, Savage Master, Castle Rat, Attacker, Bewitcher, and Raven.
Love to see some of those bands. Raven and
Raven.
And also
I've seen them 3 or 4 times. They're always a really good show too.
Okay. In the outside, we have
Savage Wisdom. Go ahead. Savage Wisdom too, right?
Savage Master.
Oh, Savage Master. There you go. Savage Master. Yeah. Savage Wisdom's from New Mexico. Savage Master are fantastic too. I like them a lot.
Yeah, I would love to see Attacker, Bewitcher, and Raven.
I saw Bewitcher a couple years ago. They opened for Cavalera. They were fantastic live.
Aren't they Brazilian?
Bewitcher? I don't think they are. They might be.
Steve, read that comment right there, because you might.
Yeah, I know. I saw Lee's comment there. Yeah, and it's a small venue. It's like it only holds like 200 people where I'm seeing them, and every time I see a show there, I can't hear for 2 days.
Yeah. Okay. Lawn stage, Sanhedrin, Satan, Fifth Angel, Enforcer, Hyrax, DRI, and Warlord dropped off, and it's probably going to be Las Cruces.
Oh, that's nice. Warlord is a band I really want to see live.
Las Cruces?
No, Warlord. I would love to see Warlord.
Oh, Warlord, yeah.
Sanhedrin's really good too. They don't get a lot of love, but they're a fantastic band too.
How does Warlord still a band without the main guy in the band?
It's the one guy, isn't it?
I think so.
Who, Warlord?
Yeah.
Yeah, because Samaris, I never know how to say his name. The guitar player, and he passed away. So
yeah. So Friday night, this is the big night for us. The inside stage, Knights and Gallow, Hitter, Haunt, Sabir, High Spirit, Sadistic Intent, and Departure Chandelier.
Those are, man. So I'm going to see Hitter and Haunt in like a week and a half. They're playing here next week. Who else did you say?
Sabire, Sabir.
They're really good. that's a fantastic band. I can't remember where they're from. They're European. Oh man, they have kind of a Wasp thing going on. If you like Wasp, you're gonna love Sabir.
Okay.
There was somebody else you mentioned. Who else was it? Oh, High Spirits. If you haven't seen High Spirits live, man, they're just really killer 80s metal. It's the man. It's kind of like Haunt, where it's just the one guy who records everything, but has a band that he goes on tour with, and they're always fantastic.
Okay. Well, here's the lawn stage on Friday night, and this is the one we're really stoked about. Solicitor, Nasty Savage, Onslaught,
Nice.
Gammaide, Atsu, Omen, Cavalera, and then Crimson Glory is the headliner.
Wow,
man,
that's a good lineup.
And I would love to see Omen live. Cavalera.
Who's singing for Omen? Who's singing for Omen?
I think Kevin. Kevin, the old Omen singer. It's not George Call. It would have been great to see George. I saw George Call singing with Omen, and they were fantastic. But it's Kevin. Oh gosh, the name escapes me.
I'm looking it up right now. So,
but
obviously,
Cavalera was. I was supposed to go see them on Sunday, and they canceled the show, and nobody knows why, and they didn't add a new date, so I don't know what happened.
It says Nico Omen, Nico Magus.
Really? Okay.
Yep. I guess he's been singing with the band since 2017, according to this. So.
Oh.
I wonder if it's who I'm thinking of. He changed his name.
Kevin Gutscher sang with him for quite a while, from 1998 through 2017. But it's he left. Looks like he left in 2017. So
okay. Well, it'll be interesting then. Okay. Yep. Saturday night on the inside stage, we have White Magician, our buddies Overdose from New York, Azemiel, The Night Eternal, Blood Ceremony, John Christ, and Spectral Wound.
John Christ would be cool. I don't know what kind of music he's playing now. One of the greatest blues metal guitarists of all time, though. That guy is so good.
Did he play with Danzig?
Yeah, on the first five Danzig records. I mean, he's what made him so good.
All right. And so the lawn stage on Saturday night, Night Cobra, Hell Ripper, Primordial, Goat Hoa, San Antonio Slayer with the mighty Jason McMaster singing, and Dave McLean pounding drums, I do believe. Yeah. Coroner, Samael, and Saxon.
Man, Saxon, I saw Saxon last year. Saxon still puts on an amazing show. I would give anything to see SA Slayer. They're one of my favorite bands. And
rumor has it that one of my favorite black and death metal doom sludge bands, Worm, is from Florida, that is playing one of the after parties on Thursday. See that?
Evan Williams said Blood Ceremony dropped, couldn't get into the country.
Well, they'll replace it. Maybe Hellstar, because the pre-party, which is Wednesday night, is let's see, Nemesis, Myth Carver, Mean Mistreater, Dark Meditation, and Spider, and then the downstairs stage is Ice War, Sentry, Hellstar, Satan, Liege Lord, and Riot. That's the pre-party.
Liege Lord is still
kicking
up.
I would love to see Liege Lord too.
Yeah.
I still haven't seen the current lineup of Riot, and I love their last 3 albums. They just haven't. The only time they've played here was Prague Power, and the cheapest ticket I found was like $290, and that was the only band that I wanted to see on the set.
I've never seen Riot V, but I did see Riot Act not too long ago, and they were fantastic. So.
Yeah. Okay. So in closing, if you didn't have to worry about expenses and you could go to any fest in the world right now, today, what would you plan to go? Where would you plan to go? Who would you plan to? Which one?
Oh, that's hard. It would be one of the European festivals. I would have to see what the lineup is. I would love to go to Wacken one time, but
me too. Wacken.
Wacken. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, Dynamo, they didn't do it in 2006 because our plan was to hit both of them, but they didn't do it in 2006 for some reason. But
Sweden Rock Fest might be a nice one. They always have good lineups too.
Sweden Rock Fest, and I know this is probably too gritty and grimy and grindy for everyone, but Obscene Extreme in I think it's in the Czech Republic, but it's out in an old tank field where the Battle of the Bulge took place or something.
We're getting a lot of other people answering your question. We've got Wacken, Hellfest, Wacken, Hellfest.
I wish I could have gone to Hellfest last year. The lineup for Hellfest last year, and don't get me wrong, there's a lot of bands I love on this one.
Power Prog.
I've just always wanted. Sodom is one of my all-time favorite bands. I've always wanted to see them live, and I really wanted to go last year. And just we were going to be in Brazil that weekend, so I couldn't change my Brazil trip because we bought those tickets like 6 months in advance. So yeah.
Okay.
Ugh, can't breathe. Allergies.
Yeah, I would like to check out Wacken again.
What's the one? Is it Milwaukee? What isn't there one in Milwaukee that's really good too?
A Milwaukee Metal Fest?
Yeah.
It's just become a cattle call. After I watched him pull the plug on Violence after Violence reunited, and they got 20 minutes and then they just pulled the plug right in the middle of the song.
Hey, Blackmore Rules. What is the festival in Canada you go to almost every year? I know you picked up a Kim Mitchell shirt for me there one year. What's the name of that festival? That if you remember it, type it out for me. Anyhow, yeah, we're over time here, but we're getting a lot of people answering your question.
Well, and what maybe
Steelfest in Finland. That's a good one.
See, there's just so many good ones. I mean, it would almost be worthy to. I know that Dave from Undergang does one in Copenhagen, and it's just. I mean, it's grungy and grimy and heavy, but it's very successful, very good.
Bloodstock has some good lineups too, but a lot of them are, for me. It's a lot of the European festivals. It's a lot of newer bands and a lot of black metal bands I don't care about.
I wouldn't mind going to see that Caribou Rocks the North Fest too. That Blackmore Rules just posted up there. They always have a lot of good classic bands going there.
So
stuff you can't see in the States, like Helix and Gatto and bands like that you don't see here. So
Anyway. I was going to mention Sturgis, but maybe that's a bad one to mention. Is that a fest or is that just an event?
No, I think it's both. Right? Well, they usually do a bunch of concerts. Like there's a lot of big name bands that are playing the main strip there. So
yeah.
There's the M3 Festival in Baltimore coming up. My friend's going to go to that.
Yeah, but
I went one year to the Maryland Death Fest. I just thought it was, once again, it's big. It's gotten so huge that it's just a cattle call, and you don't really, and you've got to move around so much, and it's just filthy dirty.
I do like Rockville, but like the year I went, Metallica was there. There was 170,000 people, and even with the VIP, we paid extra for the VIP area, and even with that, man, getting to some of those stages and getting close enough to have a good view, it gets crazy, especially on the two main stages there.
In fact, I didn't even, you know what? That's the one thing I didn't like about Maryland Death Fest is it was just that, for that very reason. It was just slimy and dirty, and the logistics were not good. And it was a lot of cool bands. PLF, War Master, Bolt Thrower. I mean, it was
well, and a lot of the time my favorite bands are playing. So right when one band is ending, the next set is starting a couple minutes later on the other. And if you want to see both bands, you're kind of screwed because you're not going to get a good spot at the other stage and get there fast enough to catch the whole sets either. So
well, and I failed to mention the cruise we just went on, that Headbangers Boat.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
I guess that's a fest. I mean, they do it. Lamb of God does it every year, but I mean, where else? We got lucky. I don't like this year's lineup, but I mean, where else can you see Frozen Soul, Unearth, Napalm Death, Carcass, and Exodus 3 times in 1 week in 5 days?
Right?
I mean, it just doesn't happen. So, anyway,
Scott, what's the record you did with the Spider, the Black Widow, that album? What band was that?
Circle of Silence, or are you talking about? Let's see, I got it. Biogenesis.
Biogenesis. What's the drummer's name that we know? Who used to be in the VC? Eli.
Eli Princeton. Yeah, that's it, right?
So Eli has been going to the boat tours for probably 15 years. He goes to He does all of them. And you're not just seeing cool bands. He's friends with a lot of those bands now. Like when they come to town, they stay with him and stuff because he's met on those boat tours. So the cool thing about the boat festivals is you're living with those people for a week and a half or whatever it is. You're not just watching them play, and you get to meet a lot of those guys and hang out and party with a lot of those guys. And that's kind of a different element. Like at Wacken, those guys do their show and then they disappear, on the 50,000 tons of metal or whatever it is. You're with the band for a week. 70,000 tons. Yeah. Is the one he goes to every year.
Yep.
So yeah, that's a cool. I would love to do one of those. My wife and I have talked about doing one of those. So
lineup's got to be right though. We just hit the mother load. That was all. I mean, it was pretty cool. But
yeah, we're still getting lots of comments. Right on. Hey, John, why don't you do the ending while I look for the outro part?
Our production is so it's classic. It's
we're professionals. We do this.
We are.
We do this for a living. We get paid a lot of money. Even George is a guest. I mean, what do you make, like $1 million an episode here?
Yes. We have to dig deep into our budget.
My check hasn't cleared yet.
Yeah.
And it never will. It never will.
Yeah. I thought you were sending him bars of gold from Fort Knox.
Yeah.
They haven't arrived yet, huh? Well, that's weird. Well, from all of us at the Metal Roundtable, we appreciate you listening. We appreciate you chiming in, and maybe we'll do another fest talk down the road. But until next time,
Metal
will prevail. And see you at Hell's Heroes.